Okay, so let's talk about the Port of Darwin, a 99-year lease signed with a Chinese owned company, which obviously has state ties. What do you think the future of that is? And there's always focus on the Port of Darwin, where there are similar, lease structures in Newcastle and Melbourne as well. What do you think happens there?
Well, the Port of Darwin, I think, is unique because it is the only substantial naval port that we have really in the top half of the country and clearly of strategic relevance when you see what's going on to our north in Southeast Asia. I felt that the lease of the port for 99 years to a Chinese company was an absurdity back in 2015. It seems to be even sillier now. And if we're looking to a situation where we're going to have a significant build-up of our navy, and we're going to see more of the British and the American navies here, which I think is actually going to happen as well, that cannot be allowed to happen in circumstances where our most important northern port is under the control of a Chinese company. So that has to go. It simply has to go. In terms of Newcastle and Melbourne, I think over time there's another question here that government has to deal with about the past decisions to sell or lease important parts of Australian critical infrastructure to Chinese companies. That just doesn't work when we have a China which has fundamentally become hostile to Australia's strategic interests. So sooner or later those deals will have to be unpicked. But I don't think Newcastle or Melbourne is as critical from a defence perspective as the Darwin port for obvious geographical reasons.
It simply has to go, you say, that lease. I mean, I'm no expert, you are the expert, but on a logical sense and thinking about this laterally, it would be very strange to have this lease still with a Chinese company, and would you also be having alongside that our nuclear submarine station there? Is that how it would work?
Oh, the Americans would not accept that under any circumstances. They just would not allow that to happen. Yeah. I think the more likely future for the port is we'll see more US Marines operating out of Darwin as a result of decisions that will be announced, I suspect, in the Osman meetings that are going to happen in 24 hours or so in Washington, D.C. And so it needs to be addressed from that point of view. But no, the Americans, they get a bit thingy about their high tech being right up next to Chinese owned resources. And I think it's just about time we recognise that should not simply be an American concern, but also an Australian one.
Indeed. Thingy being a technical term, of course.
Technical term.
Peter Jennings, very clear. Thanks so much for explaining it all to us this morning. We really appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Laura.